Hey everyone, I am here with my bestie, Gena Harper, both blind women of action, that's what you're saying.
That's it, blind women of action.
I love it, and we're just going to audio describe ourselves today. So I'm wearing a red dress, and it's like a wraparound dress, and I've got a little tie in the middle. What about you, Gena?
I have a blue sweater on, it's V-necked, I have a 2-chain necklace, I have really beautiful dangly earrings that I love, and they kind of hang down and cascade. I have blondish hair, it's back in a braid.
Cute.
And that's what I'm wearing.
That's for the first time as well. And obviously I've got long ginger wavy hair. Tell you guys all the time I'm a ginger. Love it. Ginger and proud.
Ginger proud.
So Gena, talk to me about who you are and what do you stand for? I know that's massive questions.
So I have been a financial consultant for my whole career, and that's awesome. There's only 2 blind women in the United States that are financial consultants. I recently, in 2021, made the Forbes Top Women Wealth Advisor list, and that's a super prestigious list to make. I really stand for action. My sort of tagline is Gena, blind woman of action, and it is true. I give me an idea and I run with it, and I want to affect change, and I want to help people and make a difference in the world.
I love that. And today, me and Gena are just going to have a bit of a heart-to-heart about family, what it's like to bring up 2 children when you're completely blind, like Gena. Gena is a massive inspiration to me, guys, and you're going to get so many Gena's gems from this video. I don't know if I've told you guys, me and Ollie are going to start our IVF journey looking into children, and we're getting married next year, so it's a topic that is on my mind. I've always wanted to be a parent. Being a mom, I know, is definitely in my future. Maybe having like 3 kids, and I know, Gena, you have done it.
Yes,
you have 2 lovely children, don't you?
2 beautiful children. Yes, I have Serena. She is 22 and she lives in Portland, where we're visiting now, and Miss Lucy's having her experience in Portland. And I have a son named Shia. He's 20. He goes to Sonoma State College. Serena just graduated. She goes to school here in Portland at Reed College, and she's now done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cute. And I know that being blind and being a parent, maybe a lot of people might say, oh, but what about if you can't see them if they're ill? Or what about facing not being able to, know what they look like? Gena, talk to me about how you started to think about a family, and what were the first things you were thinking about when wanting to get pregnant and being a blind mom.
So I really wanted to focus on my career. So I waited till I was 37 to have children, which is considered older, not so much now because of all the technology and things for having children. And I think the craziest thing is the thing I was most worried about was how the baby was going to come out of my body. That sounds crazy. I was worried about that, and I was worried about changing diapers, how I was going to do that. So I did reach out to a number of moms, just sort of checking in on those things. And I ultimately hired a lactation nurse, and she just came to the house, and she did explain how a baby comes out of your body. And it was a little same area that I thought, but it was really a little different. It's a little farther back in your body, and I just couldn't imagine that our bodies could stretch, the amount needed for a baby to come out. Mm-hmm. And then when I talked to other blind moms, it pretty much was all the things they're going to do like we would do our normal life being blind. We would find, tools and technology, and one of my Gena's gems is there's always a way. And so I don't take that phrase lightly, not just like, oh, ha ha, positive thinking. Mm-hmm. I really believe there is. It's just a matter of learning how to adapt things. So in the end, the changing the diapers was super easy. I was better than pretty much anybody I knew. I did it very methodically, right? I understood how a diaper laid out. You put the baby's bottom in the diaper. You use the tabs on the side that you cover, and they end up in the front, but you use those as like little measuring things. Mm-hmm. And then you just wipe in a systematic way, and that's it. And then right next to you is the place that you dump all the rubbish. So it was not a big deal. And then I also faced wondering how to find the kids, where were they? So I didn't do things like put bells on them or put a leash on them, and I know people do that. I don't know. I just really couldn't see putting a leash on the kids. I know it's done, and no judgment from me. I think that's probably a handy tool. Mm-hmm. And I just would always pretty much know where they were, or make sure if I was in an open space area like at a theme park that I would have sighted people with me that could keep eye on the kids.
And you've got Nanny Carmen.
Yes, and I also decided, because I was working pretty much more than full time, that I wanted a nanny, and I really wanted the nanny not to raise my children. It was a priority of me to raise my children. There were a number of things in life that I simply didn't have time to do, and it was made more sense for me to work instead of go shopping. I'm not that interested in food shopping personally. So I did hire a nanny, a wonderful woman named Carmen, and she has been with me the entire 22 years. She still works with me. She's super smart. She taught the kids Spanish, so they both know Spanish. Yeah, and it was wonderful. It was having a colleague, like another mom. I mean, she had 3 children of her own. So having a relationship with a mom who'd, gone before me and had experience with children was really special. And I really felt like I got to do what I was good at, loving them, playing with them. I do love to cook, and I do go shopping sometimes, right? But it's a matter of time management. It's just not the best use of my time. And I did always make sure I was there for them in the morning. I would start work around 5:45 in the morning. I would work till about 7 or 7:30. Then I would get the kids up. I would do breakfast with them, send them off to school, and most of the time I would walk them to school. We lived in an area where I could walk the kids to school. I wanted that experience. And then I just went on with my day working, and Nanny Carmen took care of other things.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I guess having a really high stress, high powered job, Gena, if you guys didn't know, worked at Morgan Stanley, and she was one of the top earning women, blind women in the country in America. I mean, how did you juggle that? Because that's quite a feat. You've got Nanny Carmen, but there's going to be times, right, where it's going to be stressful, and you've got the kids at home, and what do you do in those stressful times? It
really was stressful. I think one thing is we worked many hours, so I'd say 10 to 12 hours. And doing that, then I was able to work at home a lot. If I had client meetings, I went into my office, but if I didn't, I worked at home. So I definitely could start early and work late around what the kids' schedule was. So I would go to after-school activities. And if I had meetings, then I would have Carmen take them to the activities. I just made a point really every day to know what time I had with them, be that it was in the evening, reading Braille books, or was it in the morning, just getting ready for breakfast. I never felt like I missed out, and I definitely don't feel that I didn't get to spend enough time with them. I'm very close to them. And so I would say, to answer your question, it's more of a juggling act, kind of based on the schedule of the day. There was not specific things, because my job was very fluid and super unpredictable. I mean, you don't know if the stock market's going to crash today or have a great day. You don't know if some client's going to have a crisis. And then sometimes, I mean, I would have to call in other people. Another one of my Gena's gems is basically leveraging your time. And so there were times when I would have to call in other people to help with the kids while I dealt with the work crisis.
No, but I love that, because me and you always chat about dependence and interdependence, and you shouldn't feel guilty just because you have to ask for help, no matter whether you're blind or not. I think a lot of people, I guess, in our community, I know when I first went blind, I used to be like, oh my gosh, I depend on everyone, I'm a burden, this horrible word, and I always think about, oh, if I do need my mom or a nanny or someone to help me out with the kids, that means I've failed in my blindness journey, and that's not the case at all. You've got to accept help, and every woman or man bringing up children is going to need some help.
Oh, absolutely. That's where, I think as blind women or blind people, because fathers too, that we really have to get that concept straight in our head, that we can't have shame about, we can't ask for help. I think we tend to say, I asked for help because I'm blind. Well, you know what? A lot of time you ask for help because you're out of time. Not because you're blind, right? Because you have too many things you need to do. And so I always kind of put it in a different cat. Sometimes I need help because I'm blind. Sometimes I need help just because I want it. And then I have the Gena princess factor. So that is when I just want to be treated like a princess. And people can help me. And I do try to observe other people. And I think everybody does that. But as blind women and people, I do think we're super hard on ourselves. And then that we correlate everything into what other people are going to think about us, because sadly other people do have a view on us, right? And they are very judgy, and we do want to look independent, and I think we just have to accept that and know in our own hearts that we are independent. And I think it makes us more independent to ask for help when we need it. Like that
Yeah.
is a strength.
That is a
that
strength.
is a sign of strength and courage. It's not a sign of weakness.
Definitely, I feel like I take control of things because I did have something so out of control happen to me. I did lose my vision. So now, me and you, we're like power women. We like don't waste a day or a moment or a moment in time, and that's our strength. I think a lot of people go through life maybe sleepwalking, and I feel like we harness it. I don't know. Yeah.
No, exactly. And about the financial advising, I mean, I had no idea what I was going to, be when I grew up, and I was very concerned about that. I knew it costs money to be blind if you need readers or drivers or technology, which in the US is not funded for us individually. And that I didn't have a concept. And I think it's okay for people not to have a concept if they're really young, like what are they going to be? And the bottom line is, though, I made sure I had the attitude that I was going to figure it out. Back to that, there's always a way. And that it's not just a cheesy, positive line. There is always a way. I mean, there's times that I have to push myself because that's just part of being blind if you want to accomplish certain things. And if you want to do something that's not the norm. It is not the norm for women to be in financial services. There's only 17% women overall. There's only 2 blind women in the US. And it's not the norm for women to be like so strong and outstanding. And I think we just have to embrace that.
You are a massive inspiration to me. When we connected and I had you in my life, I had this like eureka moment, like, wow, we can be successful blind people. You know, I remember going blind at 17, having no role models around me at all.
Right.
And, you know, knowing you and Sam and knowing that you have a successful relationship, a successful family, and a successful career, you know, that's all you ever want out of your life. And you do believe, fundamentally, I know when I was in that hospital bed, I believe that my life is over. You do in that moment. So, you know, you talk about courage. Where did you get that from? Because I'm feeding off you now and having you as my inspiration. So where's yours?
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And I want to be that. I mean, my whole goal for my whole life is to be a good mentor when it's the time, right? When I have some skill that somebody else needs. I too came from the same place as you when I was a teenager. I was born with an eye disease and could see better, but it was as though I couldn't see well enough to see, but I wasn't blind enough to be blind. So I was stuck in the middle. I did have a lot of shame and I didn't want to use a cane. And I think really what happened is that I ended up going to an independent living skills school to learn Braille and use how to read a cane. And I learned the power of the cane, and it was everything different than what I thought. I thought if I used a cane, I was going to look ugly and old, and I was totally ashamed. And in fact, the second I went to use the cane, a woman came up to me on our subway system and she said, "Oh, do you need to know what BART train it is?" Aww. And I thought, I've needed to know for 18 years what BART train it is, what bus it is, or what the product is. But as for the courage part, is once I kind of got beyond that it was okay to be seen with a cane and it was okay to accept my blindness, I also did not have any good role models until I went to this school. And so that added to my shame. And then I did meet successful blind people. And the courage came from just knowing that if I wanted to do something, I just had to do it. The courage a lot came kind of like survival, like not just survival though. Say if I wanted to go kayaking and the guy at the kayak place would say, "Oh no, blind people can't go kayaking." Before I went to that school and before I embraced sort of being blind, and I don't mean like woohoo party, I'm blind, definitely not my mindset. But once I knew that I did started building some confidence, I would just say, yes, I can go kayaking. And in the beginning, when you're really young and you're dealing with blindness, you have to respect your elders and respect your teachers and the people in your life. And if they're not well trained or well versed in blindness, you're not getting the right things you need from them. So then we got the right things we needed. And then I just realized that I had to advocate for myself. And I kind of went overboard. I mean, I was pretty pushy about advocating when I was younger, like rude and obnoxious to some degree. Now I still advocate for myself, and I think I'm much more poised at doing so. It still takes constant advocacy, you know, and that gets tiring. Like, do you ever get tired of having to educate and advocate?
I do. I think it goes in waves, doesn't it? I always say I have bad blind days and then other days, most of the days are sunny now. Tell us a moment in time where you have felt really, really low, and how have you got out of that? Like, what is a situation, maybe on the BART train, maybe on in the very early days of your schooling? How can you tell that you're not getting what you need from an adult in your service providing, or you don't know that what an adult is telling you is the right information for you as a blind person? How can you tell that?
I want to share two things, because the way you asked the question, it sort of made me think about when I had the accident and poked out my eye. But then as you elaborated, I know exactly what you're talking about. How do you know when, if you're taught you need to respect your teachers and you need to respect grown-ups? I knew when they started saying I couldn't do things, when I thought they started, and because I believed them, right?
Yes,
until I went to the school and I realized that they just simply don't know. Like, it wasn't their intention to say no or hold me back or give me bad information. They simply didn't know.
No.
And so when I realized, even my mother, I mean, there's times I want to write a book called, like, or something, the book on what I wish other blind parents had told my mother, Exactly. And like the how-to book to raise blind children. And she did her best. I think they all do their best, but they just simply don't have the tools. So if somebody's facing situations where they kind of aren't getting out and getting to do things, or they feel like they can't be anything, they do have to find the strength within themselves.
Yeah.
They have to figure out how they're going to do certain jobs. And I figure that out by reaching out, like you and I did to each other, like finding other people that are blind and successful and say, how do you do this? And do not feel self-conscious. I mean, that's pretty much the point. And then also to just don't take no for an answer. That's one of my Gena's gems.
Agreed.
Don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Love you
Oh,
loads.
it was great. Love you loads. I'm so happy
bestie.
this came back. I mean, you got to come to the U.S.
I know, I'm
It's
so
wonderful.
happy.
So great. So glad it worked out.
Subscribe to her channel, please.
Yes,
I'm
Gena, Blind Woman of Action.
Do it now.
Yeah. Do it now.